Hi, I'll continue with the chapter on the Anschlag from Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach's Versuch über die wahre Art, das Klavier zu spielen. Der Anschlag, wenn durch die kleinen Nötchen die Sekunde darüber oder darunter von der folgenden Note vorher zum Gehör kommt, kann wegen der Geschwindigkeit dieser Nötchen auch in geschwinderer Zeitmaße gebraucht werden. Bei Figur 83 befindet sich ein Exempel, welches uns den eigentlichen Sitz dieses Anschlages zeigt, in dem keine andere Manier stattdessen geschicklich angebracht werden kann. Dieses Exempel mit derselben Ausführung gilt nur so lange, als man es nicht langsamer als Andante spielt, ob es wohl in der Hörigkeit zunehmen kann. Here's figure 83. In it we see that the note coming before the note to which the Anschlag is attached is a second below it. It is an E going to the F. So the second below is heard first. The same will apply when the second above is heard first. Namely, the Anschlag can be added in such cases in faster tempos too, because of the speed of its notes. Bach calls this the actual seat of the Anschlag, its eigentlichen Sitz, and says that no other ornament can be skillfully brought in its place. Most of the time, as far as my experiences go with classical repertoire, from Mozart on, an Anschlag is not going to be indicated. As far as that goes concerning the example, what we'd see instead of the small notes would be a T-or above the F, or the short zigzag sign. So, we wouldn't see those small notes to indicate the Anschlag, we'd see a T-or or the shake sign. Here is where the entire roll of honour will play their Lieblichen, Trillerchen, their shake or upper mordant, its champions, those great artists, giants like Kissin and Sokolov, or some of the other ones, legendary pianists, great artists, great scholars, representing you, representing the very best the classical community, the classical music community can muster, standing there in all their immense glory before Bach. Thousands and thousands of people falling out of their assholes as they stand up from the piano stool, all the metronomes, made so by the cage. And with their profound insight and consummate artistry, like true masters of a more advanced and sophisticated age, they'll play their shake. That same shake they use to replace the short appoggiatura, that same shake they use to replace the prowl trill, that same shake they use to replace the mordant, and that same shake they insert into the glancing brace. They now use that same shake to replace the Anschlag. shakes and muscle memory. And Bach will tell them that the Anschlag is the only ornament that can be skillfully used in that situation. He said it in 1753, and he's still saying it in 1787, 34 years later, knowing all about the roll of honour's lieblichen Trillerchen, having coined the phrase, knowing all about their shake, which he calls a schneller, a fine ornament when used properly, when it isn't abused. So your champions, the best the cage has to offer, can tell Bach he's wrong, and tell him why he's wrong. And they can make you proud, proud to have pledged your allegiance to the roll of honour, proud to know that there is no such thing as the cage, proud to know that the relationship you have to the piano, shaped by what you've been told by the roll of honour, with its bottomless pit of practice and its muscle memory, is not hell, but is in fact heaven. Bach says the Anschlag can be used in faster tempos because of the speed of its notes. Think of the keyboard mechanism. How fast can one play a shake, an upper mordant? The note itself, the note above, and the note itself again. 2 keyboard keys are used for that. The first key, after it's been depressed, must lift before it can be depressed again. How quick that key lifts will depend on the speed of the piano's action. And even if that is top notch, the speed of that shake still cannot exceed the speed of the action. Whereas with the Anschlag, one is playing 3 separate keys, which means one doesn't have to wait until the one or other key lifts up again. One isn't limited by the speed of the piano's action. One can surpass the speed of the action. The remaining notes of the Anschlag can have been already struck before the first key has returned to its starting position. In the Mephisto Waltz that I uploaded, one could observe the low bass notes in the waltz section. And one can see the distance my hand covers in the time it takes for those keys to fully ascend. So if you were to focus on the ascent of the key of the low bass notes, keep an eye on them to see, when the key is fully ascended. And then while you're doing that, in the corner of your eye, you can see what my hand manages before that low bass note key has fully ascended. A lot can be done in the time that takes. So I play those low bass note keys. And before that has lifted up again, my hand is already, it has covered a lot of distance. And imagine how many keys I might have been able to press in that time, and how the speed of the action of the piano can't keep up with me. But with the Anschlag, I have no such limitations. And incidentally, what you're seeing there, the speed that's there to be seen of my hands, that speed is the speed that can be achieved with AC fingering and its finger position, and the true way to play the piano. Bach said when the second above or below the following note is heard first. With figure 83, he provided an example of a second below the following note being heard first. Between bars 47 and 48 of the third movement of Beethoven's Tempest Sonata, we see an example where a second above is heard first. The D is heard before the C. We see a slur. This will be a similar speed to that of the example, with a similar rhythmic character, as related as 3/8 and 6/8 time signatures are to each other. Bach says the Anschlag is the only ornament that can be skillfully used in that situation. He'll still say it here. He didn't change it in 34 years, his opinion. He's not going to change it here. So he'll say it. He'll look at that example and say the Anschlag is the only ornament that can be skillfully brought in that place. There you see again the Anschlag's Eigentlichen sits. And he is speaking as someone who can think singingly. Unter den Fehlern, wovon die Triller die unschuldige Ursache sind, entdecken wir zuerst diesen, indem viele die erste unter denen bei Figur 31 abgebildeten Noten mit einem Triller beschwören, ungeachtet die gemeiniglich über diese Passagen gesetzten Bogen dieses verhindern sollten. The slur should have prevented the shake. So begeht man ebenso hässliche als gewöhnliche Fehler. Diese sind die lieblichen Trillerchen, von denen schon im Eingange Paragraph 10 etwas erwähnt worden ist. The Roll of Honour play their shake, their lovely little trill. If someone can point out a recording where a shake hasn't been played, other than in mine, then they found something I don't believe exists. The Roll of Honour will tell you to play a shake in your lessons and masterclasses with them. That'll be the result of all their expertise, their scholarship, and their musicianship. Ornamentation is one of the 3 pillars of piano playing. And you'll do what you're told and play their shake. But your shake will never be fast enough for their liking, nor for yours, so you'll practice endlessly. And then you'll spend your whole life practicing, and what'll happen is you'll die with a shake that wasn't quite fast enough, that wasn't quite satisfactory. You'll have died, and you still could have done with another week of practice. Again, the Roll of Honour can sit there with their fix-all fast food shake and, as the more advanced and learned people, tell Bach why he's wrong. So, Roll of Honour, why is he wrong? What'll it be? Will they play their shake with a speed the likes of which Bach has never seen, or could never have imagined, because what? Cars haven't been invented. He'll see Sokolov play his shake, and then Bach, trying it himself, will stumble with the 3 notes, or will only be able to go a third of the speed, and he'll ask Sokolov how he achieves such miraculous speed. And Sokolov will say technology, superiority, evolution, the metronome. We grab oranges, we jiggle doorknobs, we use urtext editions. And Bach will entreat him to play those 3 notes again, and when he witnesses Sokolov shake, Bach will fall to his knees in disbelief that such speed can be achieved, that such speed is humanly possible, and he'll exclaim, "I'm wrong, oh how wrong I was." And it is the superiority of these incredible masters that have shown me the error of not only my ways, but the ways of my father. And then he'll ask, is everyone in the future as amazing as you are? And Sokolov will tell him that he's the best of them, that everyone looks up to him, that he is a giant among midgets, that they all fit in his asshole, but that we still consider our worst to be better than your best. And Bach will say, your music must be amazing. And maybe I'm enjoying that a bit too much. Then again, it might not play out that way. In the presence of Bach, the Roll of Honor champions might look like fools. What goes into the interpretations of the Roll of Honor? What standards do its champions represent? Those that worship them will reject outright the idea that they could be embarrassingly uninformed. So, the Roll of Honor, their standards being what they are, will have obviously considered Bach's words and rejected them. Why did they reject them? Get your Roll of Honor professor to fill you in on the reasons why. How much are they charging you for an hour's lesson? 300, 400 euros. For that money, surely they can give you a satisfactory answer. But then again, why have knowledge and insight into music when you can replace all that with practice tips, muscle memory and shakes? Here in bar 49, the Anschlag is the only ornament that can be skillfully brought in. It is the only ornament that can be played fast enough to preserve the slur. All the while, the Roll of Honor talk about practice. Those in the cage reject everything except talk about practice. Practice to those in the cage is what the bucket of fish is to the orcas in captivity. Their entire existence revolves around the bucket of fish. They bow to the bucket of fish. They've been made smaller than the bucket of fish. And you can maybe appreciate how ridiculous that is. That an orca, a killer whale, is made subservient, made to be smaller than the bucket of fish. Whereas the orcas in the wild have an ocean full of fish. And that ocean of fish makes them giants. And the bucket of fish turns them to midgets. I have a feeling that Beethoven might have been trolling the Roll of Honor and those they lure into the cage. That he'd say now to this, that, because, you know, you might be thinking, well, Beethoven's not going to agree with Bach, or he's going to be on the Roll of Honor side. I think Beethoven had a laugh. Like he got a kick of, yeah. So what would he say to this? He'd say, of course you should be playing an Anschlag if the Anschlag is the only ornament that can be brought in the place where I've indicated an ornament to be played. It's not my fault you're not doing it. And you and the roll of honor, you might say to Beethoven, well, why didn't you, indicate an Anschlag? And then you say, why would I? I mean, why would I need to indicate it if it's anyway the only ornament that fits there? Look at Alan. I didn't indicate it for him, and he knew the Anschlag goes there. I knew the Anschlag goes there. Yet yous are all doing your shakes. It's not my fault you're playing your shakes there. You know, you learn in the cage, you learn to love practice. And how do you keep those people who love practice happy? Have them trying to fit a shake into a place where the only thing that will fit will be an Anschlag. If you're to try the Anschlag, you'll notice, especially if you're using AC fingering and its finger position, if you're doing it with the right expression that Bach says, you'll notice how easy it goes. So Beethoven will say, why do I need to indicate an Anschlag when that is anyway the only ornament that will fit there? Beethoven knew this book. The evidence of that, the evidence of how central a role it played in his life is all over his compositions, all over his music, right to the very end. Even, probably more so, ever since that Heiligenstadt Testament, it was more so present than before it. Despite the high standard of the works coming before the Heiligenstadt Testament. But with the it was like, Beethoven was in possession of a diamond that was a little smudged maybe here and there. And with that Heiligenstadt Testament, he realized, hold on, I can polish this. I can polish this diamond so it's there in its full splendor. He realized it clicked for him. And that was the difference then with the music after the Heiligenstadt Testament to before it. It's, it was those smudges on the diamond were gone. So I think Beethoven got a kick watching the Roll of Honor chase carrots on sticks. He got a kick out of that. And he wasn't going to stop them. Plus, it was very handy because he'll have excelled in their company. It's very funny. He'll play that. He'll play the Anschlag. And it'll have a better result. And then they'll be all trying to recreate it with their shakes. And Beethoven will laugh. It is funny, it's a nice position to be in, where you have the entire Roll of Honor chasing after you so much and you can just troll them. And that's their illiteracy. A literate person is going to play an Anschlag there. The shake, as it is abused by the roll of honour, kills the slur, it kills the singing, it kills the pulse, and it kills the phrase. Knowing this means that you now know more than the entire roll of honour. I would offer that the first type of Anschlag rather hangs its notes to the preceding note, whereas the second rather hangs its note to the following or ensuing note. That's why the Anschlag doesn't kill the slur. And you can hear it with that example, the figure 83 example. The shake destroys the pulse, destroys the rhythm. And none of them notice that. Why do they not notice that? Because they are pampered ears. They only perceive noise. And the evidence for that, the reaction to my channel overall confirms everything I'm saying. And I think those people who are after the correct answer, who are after the truth, they're quite rare. So if you are one of them, you can maybe think that you have a quality that is quite rare. So there'll be more on the Anschlag with the upcoming videos and in the upcoming paragraphs. Thanks. Bye.